Paul Manafort has officially been sentenced. I just want to note that he was facing a prison sentence of 19.5 to 24 years behind bars. However, Paul Manafort, who has been convicted in Virginia on tax and bank fraud charges, has been sentenced to 47 months behind bars. The judge in this case, Judge T.S. Ellis, called the recommended range for the sentencing excessive prior to announcing Manafort's sentence, and said that he has lived an otherwise blameless life. Now, just to give you a little more context, the prosecutors in this case called the charges against Manafort, quote, serious, longstanding, and bold. And the reason why they were serious and longstanding and bold is because they took place over the course of a decade. So he was breaking the law for a very long period of time. But according to this judge, T.S. Ellis, that 19.5 to 24 year range was a little too excessive for him.
And I'll tell you why. So it's not that the judge is a bad guy, it's that he looks at things from his perspective, which is what everybody does. And in his perspective, I see an upstanding, elite, upper class gentleman here. He dresses really well with the money that he stole and did not report to the IRS. Now, if I see a poor person in here, whether they're from Southeast DC or whether they're white and didn't have a chance and they're poor and they don't have an ostrich jacket on, and I didn't see them in cocktail parties around Washington, well, and he steals $80 from someone. I mean, this criminal. Let
me ask you guys something, okay? If any of you, unless you're a Wall Street billionaire, were convicted of tax and bank fraud charges and failing to register as a foreign agent, by the way, do you think you would get 47 months behind bars? There are people serving longer sentences in prison right now on drug violations, okay, on drug possession. And who are they hurting when they're consuming drugs other than themselves, right? We're supposed to be a country of liberty where we should be able to do what we want as long as we're not harming others. And there are people in prison right now serving way longer sentences than 47 months simply because they were caught with possession of drugs. 47 months? Come on, man. Tax fraud alone, right? I mean, bank fraud. You're poor, you're gonna be in prison. You're gonna be in prison for 24 years. I guarantee it.
The amount of money that he got from the Ukrainian oligarchs was $60 million. He hid $30 million of it offshore. If you stole $30, you'd get a longer sentence than this guy is getting for $30 million. But he's an upstanding gentleman. Hasn't he suffered enough? In fact, that was his claim to the judge, and the judge bought it. Manafort said, "To say that I feel humiliated and ashamed would be a gross understatement."
Eric Garner.
Someone in the elite felt humiliated. Oh, poor guy. You guys, you don't deserve that. You're rich. I mean, you stole some of the money to get rich, but hey, you're rich. Oh, you already suffered enough. You feel humiliated. A poor person, a middle class person, you're humiliated? Well, good, you should be humiliated. You stole $30 and you have no shame. Of course you should be embarrassed. But beloved Manafort and his goddamn ostrich jackets. And we're talking about dual allegiance. That's the conversation we've been having this whole week. This guy literally had dual allegiance.
Look, I don't know why he popped into my head in the middle of this story, but Eric Garner was choked to death by police because previously he was caught selling untaxed cigarettes. Previously, he was caught selling untaxed cigarettes.
You know what that is, Anna? You're right. That's not a $30 offense. That's a 30-cent offense. And so when they arrived, and at the time that they choked Eric Garner to death, he was actually being a good Samaritan and breaking up a fight. But they're like, oh, that's the guy who, doesn't pay his taxes 30 cents at a time. And so they assumed he was a bad guy, and they wrestled him to the ground, and then they choked him to death. But Manafort feels humiliated and ashamed because he hid all that money from us. He hid the fact that he was a foreign agent, and he committed all these terrible crimes. But golly gee, he looks so well dressed. And this is the two-tier justice system. It's gross, it's disgusting. Now look, the only good news is later in the month, US District Judge Amy Berman Jackson could add up to 10 years when Manafort is sentenced in Washington. I hope to God that she does. I hope she's not influenced again by this privilege, this entitlement. Like, I mean, look, last thing. Manafort says, I feel humiliated and ashamed. Why? Because he feels entitled not to feel that way. Well, I'm allowed to steal $30 million and not feel ashamed. Now you've made me feel ashamed. Have I not suffered enough? Now you smoke pot and you're poor and don't have defense attorneys like me that I bought with the money I stole, okay? Well, it's right for you to feel ashamed. Go get put in a hole for a couple of decades and see how that serves you. And then they wonder why people are unsatisfied with their government, why there's anger in America. 2 easy ways to follow the Young Turks. One is hit the subscribe button down below, then you're a TYT subscriber. And second is ring the bell. And when you do that on YouTube, you're notified of our videos.